Jim White, Simon Jordan with you this Thursday morning. We'll get to more boxing at 12 noon, but let's dwell on that particular sport as of now, because Moses Itauma will fight for the WBA heavyweight belt after being ordered to challenge Kubrat Pulev, who boasts 32 wins and just 3 defeats. It was ordered by the WBA, of course. Top boxing promoter Frank Warren joins us live in the show. Frank, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Jim?
Good, thank you, sir. How are you keeping? Do I hear you have a little cold in the nose? Are you a wee bit under the weather?
I've got the old Bakerloo, mate. I'm struggling.
Well, even at that, you're welcome on this show, and we're delighted you made the effort. So, Itauma Pulev, is this happening?
Is it happening? It's been ordered, and we'll see. But why wouldn't it happen? It's a great opportunity for Moses to fight for the WBA regular title. We're all waiting to see what Usyk does, and it may be for the full title. So it's something that obviously makes a lot of sense for us and makes a lot of sense for Moses.
You've been searching, Frank, for an opponent for a few weeks now. Was Pulev's name always on that list?
I've got to be honest, it wasn't, because I didn't think he'd fight him. He priced himself out of it when we spoke with him, but now it's been ordered. We can wind up going to purse bids if we can't agree terms.
How big a step up is it for Moses?
It's a big step up. He's a seasoned campaigner. He's in his early 40s now, but it's a fight I believe that Moses will win, and it's a big step up in as much that it's a title. It's part of his journey. I mean, when AJ fought for the title against Charles Martin, I thought Charles Martin at the time was the worst heavyweight champion I'd seen in my time in boxing, and look where it got AJ become a 2-time world champion. It's part of his journey.
I mean, Frank, Moses Itauma ended Dillian Whyte in a round. What might he do to 44-year-old Kubrat Pulev?
Well, we will see, won't we? You know, if he catches him, he'll go like all the others go. But he brings experience, Pulev. We all keep asking and looking for, or people are asking and looking for Moses to have experienced fighters. Well, this guy's a champion and he's an experienced fighter.
What do you make of it, the matchup, Simon?
I think Frank Warren is the best matchmaker in the business. It doesn't need my opinion on what he should do with his fighters. Look at what he's got. He's got the heavyweight division sewn up. So I think that if the fight is made and other people don't intervene, whether it's Gassiev and things of that nature come to the fore, if that's the case and Moses goes in with Pulev, he'll knock him out. I don't have any doubt about that.
Was Pulev trying to make it a bigger payday for himself that you guys might have wanted?
Well, look, if it goes to purse bids, it'll be what it is. It'll be worth what it is, and that's the bottom line of it. If we can't agree terms, these fights get made, or he vacates. If he vacates, then Moses goes to the next available contender. So all I know is we're pushing a guy in his 14th fight in a significant fight for a 20-year-old heavyweight. Other than Mike Tyson, I can't think of anybody else who's done this.
So, Frank, this would be on the December 13 card in Manchester, right?
No, we haven't. First of all, we've got to agree terms, and that may take time, so we can't confirm what the date is yet.
I see. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'll put your words in your mouth, Frank, because you've been talking about Tyson Fury coming back. The fight he really wants is another go with Mr. Usyk, and he really wants that. And they were great fights, really close fights to watch. I'd watch that again. Do you think the public want to see it again, Frank? Because so far, played 2-1-2 for Usyk.
Yeah, they are. They were good fights, though. And I believe one of them, I think Tyson was unlucky not to get the decision, but it is what it is. And Usyk's a great fighter of his generation. And as you just said, Jim, they were great fights to watch. I would watch them again, watch it again all day long. You know,
but it was 2-0, Frank. This ain't no trilogy.
Yeah, it was 2-0, and it's the same when Tyson fought Wilder. The first fight, I thought he won it. They gave a draw. The second fight, he definitely won. He knocked him out. And the third fight was one of the best heavyweight fights I've ever seen live. That's what they are. The styles blend, and we're in the business of making fights.
Out of curiosity, Frank, why would Usyk take that fight? Is it just because that the money in the room would be for a Fury fight?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the truth of the matter, Simon. You know, it is a money fight. You look at Usyk's options at the moment. He's got to fight all his mandatories.
Yeah,
that's where he's at, and he's at the stage where he's at. He deserves and should get all the money he can get from fighting. Whether he defends his his titles or vacates them, or we won't know. But he's just interested in money fights, and I get that and understand that at his age. And a big money fight would be him and Tyson.
Which do you think is the bigger money fight, Frank, and which would you lean towards if you were given a choice? Would you lean towards the bigger money fight is Fury versus Joshua? And if that were the case, would you lean towards your preference being Fury fighting Joshua or Usyk?
I think that I'm not being disrespectful. I think the Joshua fight is an easier fight for Tyson, but what Tyson wants to do, and Tyson has made it very clear on a couple of occasions I've spoken with him about this, that he would like to fight Usyk.
Do you think, Frank, with all the noise that goes around about the necessity for this fight to happen, and I'm going back to Joshua again, do you believe in your heart of hearts? I know you can't forecast what Tyson does because he's a man of his own mind, right? But do you believe in your heart of hearts that you're going to see a Fury versus Joshua fight?
I can't say for definite that will happen. I can't say that.
What does your nose tell you?
What does it tell me? I've got to be honest. 1 minute I'll say yes, the next minute I'll say no. It's what we're dealing with. I mean, Tyson's not lacking as far as money's concerned.
No.
You know, he's well set up for
Yep.
set up for life
Yep.
and probably for another 20 lives.
Yep.
It's what he wants to do, and he really feels, and it's in his mind that he feels that he should have got one of those results, the last result against Alexandrov. So that's what he wants. That's where he's at. But everybody you speak to, everybody wants to see the fight that's not happened yet between him and AJ.
Yeah,
So-
and Joshua called Tyson out not that long ago, Frank, and the boxing public, I think, were saying, yeah, let's have that. So,
Yeah, well, I'm sure they would.
that's
sure
the
they
one
would.
they want. Just because Tyson wants Usyk, it doesn't necessarily mean that Usyk will say yes. But the boxing public, I think, would much rather have Tyson fighting AJ.
Look, he's the one who's getting punched in the head. He's the one who has to decide who he wants to fight. And that's the bottom line of it. You know, he's 30, what's he now, Tyson? 36, 37 years of age. He'll want to do what he wants to do. You know, and either of those fights, the public will buy them and watch them. Why wouldn't they watch them? They're both great fights. And obviously the Joshua fight has a bigger story. But for Tyson, in his head, he feels he can win. He can beat Usyk. Whether he can or not, we'll see if it happens. And these are all ifs.
I don't want to bully a good man who's obviously got the flu. But, Frank, here's the thing. If you don't manage to make Fury AJ, will that go down as one of your big career failures?
Yeah, I'd like to see the fight. Yeah, of course I'd like to see the fight. I'd like to see it happen. You know, I'd like to see it happen purely for the reason I believe that Tyson has the beating of AJ.
If that fight were to happen, Frank, I know we're going banging on, it's probably driving you insane, but let's do it anyway. If that fight, the scale of that fight, can it be had in London?
That I don't know. I mean, obviously there has been interest from Saudi for it, and if they were to find the money that the fighters want, then I'm sure it would probably go there. If it doesn't, then obviously the next home for it is in the UK.
But then the natural level of the finances become different, doesn't it?
Of course,
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with it's about promoting a festival, the Riyadh season. It's not about us balancing our books.
Okay. Frank, we hope you're feeling better. An Arsenal win at Fulham on Saturday would help that, wouldn't it?
That would certainly help. And we've got a great show the following Saturday with Joe Parker and Fabio Wardley. We've done nearly 15, I think we're over 15,000 tickets now. It's really going well. We've got a light heavyweight extravaganza in Manchester, over 10,000 tickets sold. Josh Buatsi against Zach Parker. And we're going to be announcing a big show for Manchester in December. So fingers crossed I can get it over the line today or tomorrow.
And it looks like you won't be clashing with Ben Shalom's show on October the 25th. TKV against Fraser Clark, because TKV, I think, is on the verge of pulling out if he hasn't done so already. You must be pleased with that.
Very sad.
Yes. Frank said through gritted teeth. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. It's the music that boxing fans love. because for the next hour we shall embark on some boxing chat right here live on talkSPORT. We're also live on your telly as well, even Prime Video. You can find us everywhere these days. But that's a walk-on music for one Spencer Oliver, who's in town and in the studio and sitting to my right unusually. Good afternoon, Spence.
Good afternoon, Jim. How are you?
I'm good, mate. The reason you are sitting where you're sitting is 3 has become 4. And I'm delighted to say we're joined this lunchtime by boxing manager, a man who looks after, amongst others, Daniel Dubois and young Cattrall, who's still got a few things to prove in the world of boxing. Sam Jones is with us this lunchtime. Sam, good afternoon to you.
Hello, guys. I feel like it's been a while. It's nice to be here. Nice to see you all.
It has been a bit of a while. This is... I don't think you've been in our new studio.
No, it threw me off a little bit. I've done Simon's
You've
podcast.
been downstairs, haven't you, with us?
Yeah, I've been down there, but I've not seen this there. I quite like the layout now, but it was
That's
Thank
good.
you.
threw me off a bit.
That'll be pleasing for the set creators, won't it?
Sam,
Because I've signed it off.
Indeed.
Sam, it's good to speak. I mean, you are hot-footing it after this to Bethnal Green, a weigh-in involving Adam Macca, who's on the undercard of the British Commonwealth middleweight title fight between Kieran Conway and George Liddard at York Hall. Talk to us about that. A lot of interest in that.
Yeah, so I've not been to York Hall for quite a long time, but it's an iconic venue, isn't it? So it's quite good to go back. It's going to be packed, good atmosphere. It's a good domestic dust-up as the main event, but I've got young Adam Macca making his 3rd professional outing, so looking forward to that.
Iconic venue, isn't it, Spencer?
Certainly
you love
is.
it.
Yeah, I boxed there, amateur and pro. A lot of success there. I think I had my 3rd professional fight there. I won the schoolboys and junior ABAs there as well. So it's a great venue.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like the atmosphere in there is insane. When you talk about the mecca of British boxing and, you know, where the best fights have been held, the history in that place is insane. Everyone wants to box there.
Yeah. I mean, it was only days ago, Anthony Crolla surprised us somewhat, Sam, because he came up with British boxing, allegedly in his eyes, facing a crisis and the small hall shows being decimated since the arrival of Turki Al-Sheikh. Do you recognise that at all?
I don't think it's in a crisis, but look, Anthony might see things different to me because some of his fighters might be affected from it. But like, all I can see is the sometimes you can't really win because the best fights are getting made, but then sometimes the lower scale, the smaller hall, there might be fewer shows. But I think it's the same as like the shows have been. I don't think it's been cut in half, but there are less. But I think it's because there's some other shows happening elsewhere, so you can't really win with it. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's a crisis. But you can understand points of what he's saying, but at the same time is that for the first time in a long time, we are getting the fights we want to see that we wouldn't have seen and that fans were complaining about years ago that weren't happening.
I sort of disagree with that as well, because I think if you go to York Hall regular on a Friday and Saturday night, we had a show there last week on a Friday and Saturday night, and you look at some of these kids that are coming through, because that is the grassroots of boxing, and this is how all these guys get the opportunity. And when you're saying these big fights are happening out in Saudi Arabia, and you have people like, you know, Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren's guys, they box at the York Hall on these smaller hall shows to keep ticking over and whatnot. And you get 50-50 fights because obviously it's for the paying public and we maybe not got the TV opportunities for these fighters, and they want to get on those bigger shows. So I think that the small hall shows at York Hall are thriving bigger and better than they have been probably in history.
I agree as well. Just sorry to go straight back in, but like you've got the emergence of like GBM. Is he as if he's doing great? Like I wouldn't even call what he's doing small hall, but top tier Johnny Clark. Like it's
Tier
kind of
1-4.
Yeah, it's quite thriving.
Mark
it's quite,
Nelson.
So when I saw that, like I thought, I'd from my perspective, I don't think British boxing's in a crisis. That's just my
I think British boxing's probably stronger than it's been for a long time. You're talking about boxing being broken. That's over the other side of the water. You look at in the US now, you know, not dominating the Olympics like they used to, and look at the heavyweight division, and you know, you're going.
Irony of it is we have the least amount of world champions at this moment in time.
Yeah, but Simon, but you look at what's coming through. You look at the whole thing. You go into the gyms and you look at the young kids that are coming through and the talent that are coming through. Moses Itauma will be the next dominant force.
You can make
in
an
heavyweight
argument
division.
for every eventuality. What Sam is saying is that with the yin goes the yang. I mean, 1,200 seater capacities. You're seeing fights now being made. I mean, would Dave Allen have fought, a couple of years ago in an auditorium with that level? Would Fabio Wardley be fighting at Portman Road against Justice Hooney? Because everything's been has ridden up a level. So actually, some of these fights might have found themselves in different environments, and you can't necessarily say that's a bad thing. And Anthony Crolla might be having some experiences with the fighters around him.
Yes,
but that's not necessarily an observation on the entire perspective, is it?
Listen, Sam. Here's the thing: the life of a boxing manager. I mean, has it been a better time to be in this industry than right now? I mean, yours is an interesting journey, is it not? And for any youngsters out there who want to aspire to get and work in the field of boxing, your journey from working in a car dealership in Derby, you work along some of the top boxers in the fight game.
It's an auctioneer. I worked in the auctions.
Why does that not surprise
you? In a place called Measham. So yeah, I did that for quite a few years. But
fantastic.
I've done every job. It's not just that. I've stacked shelves. I've driven a little electric car around a factory dropping parts. I've done every job there is. But it's character building.
What was the moment you get into boxing?
There wasn't really a specific moment. I'm a fluke, to be honest with you, Jim. I've just turned out to be really good at it. But it's a lot of self-belief. It's a lot of self-belief. You've got to have a strong pair,
believe in yourself,
a strong pair, and believe in yourself and self-belief, and be a strong communicator.
Yeah,
I always feel like in life, if you want to get anywhere, whether how clever you are, I know loads of clever people, but they're not really where they need to be because they're not a strong communicator. So I think strong communication skills and good negotiation skills will get you quite far.
Well, it's such an interesting journey, Sam, and I've known you for quite a time now, but you were the manager of Joe Joyce when he beat Daniel Dubois.
Yeah.
Simon and I were there in that fight in 2020.
I remember Simon was sat just behind me with a little face mask on. I remember it.
Remember that?
Like an eerie chapel, wasn't
and
it?
Now, in a strange, curious twist of fate, you now manage Daniel Dubois.
Looking after Daniel, yeah.
But that's how it works in your business, or is it?
Yeah, I just don't like when you take things personally. Because at the time, I remember doing the show was on Good Morning Britain with Frank, and we kind of had to, in Frank's defence, Frank's got a lot of stick for the build-up, saying, oh, you promote both of them, but we had to kind of sell the fight because Daniel and Joe weren't the biggest of talkers. So I had to obviously play my role with Joe, and Frank played his role with Daniel, and I think we did it really well. And unfortunately, it got cancelled because of COVID. So then it got rescheduled a couple of times, and then, as you say, we went. I can't remember where it was. It was in.
It's in Westminster.
It was
Mansion House, wasn't it?
It was such a strange event, but yeah, the build-up was great, and it's not personal. It's just making the fight as big as it can be, and I always stayed in contact with Daniel's dad after that. To be honest with him, we used to send a few messages here and there, but not that I thought I would end up working with Daniel. But it was always in the back of my mind that it could maybe potentially happen, because you never know in boxing, do you? Because you look at promoters that promote different fighters, and
And I'm glad you're in here, Sam, because we want to talk more about Daniel Dubois. We want to talk more about Jack Catterall, and we'll do that after this break. As I say, Sam is going to hot foot it down to Bethnal Green as a weigh-in that he's got to attend there. And we'll also be looking at, sorry, Simon, Eubank Ben 2, Jim White and Simon Jordan, with Spencer Oliver and Sam Jones. And we're live in talkSPORT this lunchtime with Selco, where the trade goes. Thursday lunchtime, we're talking boxing. Spencer Oliver in studio with us. So too, boxing manager Sam Jones alongside Simon. Sam Jones, there's a message going through there. I like the sound of this guy, Sam Jones. Seems to know what he's talking about. You're certainly not short in confidence, are you, Sam?
I was sending myself the message to talkSPORT while it was happening.
He's not short in confidence, that is for sure. Sam, as I said in the introduction, you're now managing Daniel Dubois. And interestingly, some weeks ago, I spoke to Daniel Dubois, who spoke about you and how it came to be that you were in his camp now as his manager.
He does a lot of work behind the scenes, as I've seen myself. He's not just a big mouth. He does a lot of work behind the scenes for you as well, and he talks up for you. So, and moving forward, a sort of new beginning for me. So, I just need to get everything right. Once I'm right, 100% right, whoever I land on, I can take him out. And just covering up little gaps in my defense and things like that. I'm going to be the full article when I come back. All the guys in the heavyweight division, they're all the guy, especially the one who has the belts. And if the belts fragment or whatever, stuff like that can happen. Whatever way I can become two-time heavyweight champion. That's where I'm going.
That's nice to know, Sam. You're not just a big mouth, according to Daniel. And only Daniel could express it like that, couldn't he?
Absolutely. Listen, Danny's got his own way of saying things, but listen, if you were just a big mouth, you wouldn't last long in boxing. You've got to have other strings to your bow. You've got to do that. But
bring us up to date. When can we expect to see Daniel Dubois in the ring again?
I would say the very first part of next year is more realistic, but we are due to speak to Frank and George again about Daniel's next move. But one thing I'll tell you is, and this is definite, it will be a big fight. It won't be no come back, get me. Daniel's at that high level now. He's an elite level heavyweight. It will be a big fight and a meaningful fight.
Yeah, does that fall into your thinking as well, Spencer, that it would have to be somebody up there that obviously would raise a crowd? Or
absolutely. I think that
get
with
bums in seats.
Daniel Dubois is that type of character where it's not about a rebuilding process. It's not about, regaining the confidence. He's not that guy. Daniel Dubois will want to just get straight back on the saddle. And if that means going in with whoever's world champion at the time, he'll do that. That's the character that Daniel is. I think that, a loss doesn't really determine where Daniel's at in his career. His thought process is not like that. I've been lucky enough to work closely with him in recent times with Don Charles in the gym, so I know the way the kid ticks, and I know
Why is it different, Spence? I mean, he had to go through a rebuild after losing to Joe Joyce.
Yeah.
Anthony Joshua goes through a rebuild. Why is Daniel Dubois
different people, different,
even though he went through a rebuild and had to fight Kevin Lorena and had to fight other people?
I'm saying now he's been world champion. Daniel Dubois is just that individual where he will go, I don't need a warm-up fight. I will go straight. Like Tyson Fury is that guy as well. Tyson Fury won't go if it's not about rebuilding. Anthony Joshua is a thinker, an overthinker in many ways. So he will need that rebuilding, gaining that confidence again. I'm just saying that Dubois falls into that place of, the rebuilding thing is not necessary for him.
There's a text going through. Many members of the boxing public get in touch while we're on air, Sam, and that's how we like it. Daniel can have Sam Jones as his manager, that's fine. But unless he gets a new heart, he's up against it.
Yeah, it's easy for to say who read out who said that.
Hersey, who's a big boxing fan.
Hersey. Ask Hersey to go and stand in front of Alexander Usyk for 12 rounds and in the first time, whatever.
That's a silly example, Sam.
No, it's not a silly example.
Daniel Dubois is a professional boxer. That's his job.
People have a lot to say. Like I might have said something in the past. He boxed Joe Joyce as a baby, right? He got his eye socket fractured. He's getting it jabbed constantly. You was there, Simon.
I was.
And he was out of that fight. He rebuilt and he became heavyweight champion of the world, right? He lost to Alexander Usyk. Once Usyk Usyk beats everybody, by the way. He beats everybody. He got caught with a big shot, and that's the end of that. Look at the fight he boxed against Jerome Miller. Everyone was backing against him. Hrgovic, everyone was backing against him. He showed great big round ones for that one. And we are where we are.
There's a lot of people.
And he knocked Anthony Joshua.
There's a lot of people, Spence, isn't there? There's a lot of conversations that get had about Daniel, about this difference between a quit mentality or having the gag reflex. You talked about it, Spence, about the level of pain that someone's prepared to endure to overcome the adversity. And this constantly gets thrown into the conversation with Daniel, be it right or wrong. And it's a silly observation to say to somebody, just because they haven't been in a boxing ring, that they're not allowed to have an opinion. A professional boxer has the courage to be in a boxing ring. I'm sure Daniel Dubois perhaps couldn't go into a business meeting and negotiate a business deal. That's why he has you there. And it doesn't mean that ultimately you denigrate Daniel Dubois because he can't do it. Someone's got an opinion about something. It's a relative opinion, but we're talking about the heart of Daniel Dubois. Do you think there is an argument there?
Listen, I think every fighter has a different pain threshold, doesn't he? Like where they're willing to go. I mean, you've got to be a gladiator to get in the ring first and foremost, and to get to a certain level, that is an accomplishment on itself. But you go different fighters. You look at someone like, if you bring someone like Cole Froch into the equation, where you go, this guy will go to the depths that not many people will go to, and there's different levels of that. And Daniel Dubois' level is one lower than someone like Cole Froch, for sure. For sure. You can't deny that. I know the fractured eye socket he saved his own career by the way then, and I think that was a very sensible thing to do when he went down and he got accused of quitting then. Well, that was wrong because people didn't know the extent of the injury.
He got accused of quitting by other fighters.
It's more though. It's not about sticking off it. It's look at the defeats though. Joe Joyce, I was managing Joe Joyce at the time, and I felt that it was far too soon for Daniel Dubois. Joe told me before, in sparring, he used to hate sparring Daniel Dubois because he just used to buzz everybody in sparring. He was a big, heavy-handed. But we were confident because of the timing of the fight, right?
Yeah.
Since then, he's knocking people's spark out, become heavyweight champion of the world, and if that's done on people saying half a heart or whatever, then imagine half a heart and he's become heavyweight champion. He's lost to Usyk, the greatest fighter of this era.
I think the argument though, Sam, is that when Daniel is in that fight, and he will be there again, and he will get tested again, and they'll get into those penultimate rounds when you get into like 9, 10, 11, 12, you go, where then the physicalities sort of leave you and it becomes a mental battle. That's the question, is where Daniel is mentally, as in how far he's prepared to go, and I think that will always be there.
Yeah, listen, if that's people's criticism, then fine. But I believe genuinely, wholeheartedly, and I wouldn't have got involved otherwise, I believe he's going to become a 2-time heavyweight champion of the world.
Did you advise him, Sam, to split from Don Charles?
That was a decision made by Daniel. It was a decision made by Daniel. And if it wasn't, I would say so.
Yeah.
I would say so. Daniel's got his way. Daniel felt he needed a change, and that's what he's done. People forget he's 28. Yeah. He's a man. Like, I know people have their perceptions of it, but he's a man. He makes his own decisions.
And I think with Daniel as well, if you look through the history of that, he started with Martin Bowers, and when he felt like he'd had enough there and he needed to learn some more, he moved on.
Look at AJ Spencer. Look at AJ. He's changed his trainer more time, like plenty of times.
Some fighters do that.
It is what it is. It's just something. Joe Joyce was the same. Joe Joyce had four
the
or
other
five
talking
coaches.
point that's always around Daniel, these gatherings. These get-togethers on the day of a fight.
Yeah.
It was described as a party.
Yeah.
And of course, the Dubois clan came in for criticism around that. Will we see a repeat of that?
No. But that's not.
Is that you putting your foot there?
No, it's not about me putting. If you ask my advice, no, it shouldn't have happened. But the bottom line is, before the Anthony Joshua fight, there was people that came round to kind of galvanise Daniel, right? He won, right? And if the same thing would have happened against Usyk, it would have been like, it's genius. But at the same time,
that gathering was much smaller than the first one.
Yeah, correct. And the second one may have got out of hand or whatever. But
well, it was a party, wasn't it?
Whatever it was, it's not going to happen going forward. And I think people are kind of regurgitating the same thing about this gathering. Who cares? Let's get on with it and judge Daniel in his next fight.
I know you've got to shoot to Bethnal Green before.
No, I'm all right. Don't worry.
From Eubank Bend 2, and the undercard features one of Sam's fighters, Jack Catterall, who takes on Eko Essuman.
Yeah.
The world title still beckon for Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, me and Simon have had this conversation before. It's like, he deserves a world title fight. I know Jack deserves to become a world champion, but it's not as simple as, right, let's get Jack the Lewis Crocker fight. Because Lewis Crocker, good fighter, great win last time out. He'll look at Jack and think, hard night's work, no thank you. So it's about positioning Jack in the correct fights to get him where he needs to be. Eko Essuman, I think, will complement Jack's style. He's a great fighter, Eko. He's a tenacious, come-forward, strong fighter. But I think Jack Catterall will look $1 million in that fight. Great.
There's one message there, Sam. Can't wait for that. Catterall against Essuman. I'm really looking forward to that. If you've got another 5 minutes, do you want to wait until after the break? We'll finish this off.
Go on then, let's go.
You're a very nice person.
No
Sam
problem.
Jones, sing with us live in studio.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
Now then, this Friday, Kieran Conway puts his British and Commonwealth middleweight titles on the line against undefeated George Liddard, York Hall. Watch it live this Friday only on DAZN. Sam Jones, boxing manager, looks after Daniel Dubois. Jack Catterall, still in our midst this lunchtime before he pops down to Bethnal Green. Spencer alongside me as well, of course, as Simon. Sam, we were speaking there about on the undercard of Eubank Bend 2, your man Jack Catterall against Eko Essuman.
Yeah.
But it begs the question, what saw Jack's split from his longtime trainer, Jamie Moore? What happened there?
It's Jack's been with Jamie and Nigel 9 years, and not to like bore anyone to death, but Nigel's the best man at his wedding, so they're all ever so close. But Jack felt that he needs to kind of put himself in a more uncomfortable position, tough sparring, and he's taken himself, and he needs a lot of respect for it as well. He's taken himself to Philadelphia. And I won't bore you to death with this, Jim, because I'll get it out quickly. Jack did his first session, got off the plane, did his first session, and later that night he just had some dinner with me, and his new coach Bozy texted him saying, "Can you come to the gym and do another session?" And Jack was just like, "Yeah, that's what I'm here for." I says, and I was laughing. I says, "Imagine if he tells you to get in the ring and spar Boots." Because Boots was fighting a southpaw last weekend, and it was a joke. And then literally, Boots was there wrapping his hands up, and he said, and I looked at Jack and I was like, "Oh!" I like moved in that gif when Homer Simpson kind of goes into that hedge. That's what I did with Jack when he was. I says, "Right, get in the ring," and did 8 rounds. It was serious, but no. Going back to that, it's just a fresh it's at this stage in his career, that's what Jack's doing.
Yeah, I think it's all about reigniting that spark. Sometimes a fighter gets a little bit stale, and Jamie and Nigel are brilliant trainers and good friends, as I know, with Jack. But you go, sometimes, you know, he's got to take things into his own hands and say, look, I need something fresh. I need something new. Boots, Jerome Ennis, you know, going into that camp, sparring with him as well, is only going to reignite that spark. So I think it's a very good move. You know, I think that Jamie and Nigel done a fantastic job and took him to where he got to. Yeah. But sometimes a fighter needs a fresh start, and it's a good move. And
Sam, we all know Simon's views on this. Eubank Ben too, which are pretty much similar to his views of the first Eubank Ben fight, which Eubank Jr. won. Where are you with it, Sam? Going into it, is it really going to catch the imagination again?
It's going to be round 30. You're going to get the same type of fight. And listen, Simon's got his opinion. That's what everyone's entitled to. But look, it's at a football stadium, and it's like it's Jack's on the undercard. So I've obviously got more of a vested interest in the night. But I just think anything that can go in a football stadium, especially in the middle of November when it's going to be freezing cold, is great for boxing. I'm not saying it's not for a world title. I know what Simon's saying. It's not for a world title. He's saying it's a pointless fight, whatever. But I just think because it's a commercially big fight, right? It's a commercially big fight.
It's a juggernaut.
And as I say, as a boxing fan, I enjoyed the first one. The dramatics of seeing you again. It was like WWE, wasn't it? When he got out the car and Adam Smith's voice saying he's here. It was the noise when he got out of that car was amazing. The whole event was special, and the fight I thought was absolutely fantastic. And I think it'll be more of the same.
And do you think
on round 13.
Is it more of the same in terms of Eubank Jr. doing it again?
Listen, I've got my opinion. I think Conor Ben will win. I think that Junior, it would have took more out of Junior the first one than it did Conor because of Conor's age. He's 28 years, 28, 29 in his prime. I think Eubank Jr. is slightly past his prime now, but one thing about Chris Eubank Jr., he is as tough as a pub rump steak, isn't he? So
what does Conor do differently to win this fight?
I think fight with less emotion than what he do, because I think in the first fight, well, I know
Can he do that though?
Yeah, absolutely. You saw in the press conference, the build-up, he was more. He was composed, measured. Yeah. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. He was measured. He was composed. He wasn't letting you. He was more let him have his chats with Eddie Hearn, and Conor was kind of sat there just focusing. He's got a job to do. I think if you fight with less emotion and concentrate on winning rather than hurting Eubank, he'll do the job this time. But Eubank Jr., like I say, tough as a pub steak.
And while we still have you, tell us about your boy Pat Brown. What's happening with him?
Listen, I was talking to Simon there, and Simon knows a lot about Pat Brown. He's going to be it, Jim. He really is. He's going to be one of the faces of British boxing. He's just got everything. He's got absolutely everything. He can box, but he can fight. He's exciting. And if you speak to Dave Allen, right, and Dave Allen will tell you this, he sparred everybody, the AJs, everybody, Vladimir Klitschko. He says the hardest left hook I've ever been hit with in my life is Pat Brown. So if you don't believe me, believe someone like Dave Allen who's been in there with him. Pat Brown's going to be a world champion.
Pat Brown's on the rise, is he?
I come across Pat Brown actually in the Summer Olympics. He was unfortunate out there. He had a tough fight and didn't go through. But you look at the styles and you go, that's the kid out of all of them that will do well in the professional ranks. And he's proven this right. Big character, by the way, as well. Very charismatic, good-looking kid as well. He is, but it's very infectious. There's something about him that you like, and he can deliver in the ring as well. So, yeah, keep your eye on Pat Brown for sure.
He says, or you say he could be the new face of British boxing. Do you think Ben Whittaker might fit that bill? Especially now that he's swapped stables and he's swapped boxer for Matchroom.
Do you know, I don't know how this is going to come across, but do you know when I just said there, Eubank Ben is a commercially great big fight. Ben Whittaker is a commercially great fight. We've not quite seen the substance just yet with his ability. We saw it in the Liam Cameron fight. It was more, I think that's how he should have approached the first fight, and that's what he should have done. But Ben Whittaker, no one can deny. Listen, I tried to sign him. Everybody tried to sign Ben Whittaker. He's commercially huge. Yeah. And it's a massive sign. And if he's headlining in Birmingham again, I've got my young fighter Cameron Vong rematching Gavin Gwynn. So it's good. It's good for me that he's going to be headlining these shows in the UK.
I was just thinking about Pat Brown's biggest challenge is the weight class he's in, because it's a weight class that doesn't engender that much interest. Cruiserweight is not a great weight class for someone to make the star of themselves. And is he going to lend himself to being a heavyweight?
Simon, he'll be a unified world champion at cruiserweight, and then he'll be straight up to heavyweight, and he'll be beating all your favourite heavyweights as well.
Well, do you know the good thing for Pat Brown is that all the cruiserweights that were at that level when it was quite an interesting one have moved up to heavyweight. So the heavyweight division, whereas in the past when you're talking to Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, where they were all big guys, they're now a smaller generation. Even Moses Itauma is a smaller heavyweight than them sort of guys. So the move up is possible. You've got Jai Opetaia who's going to move up as well. So it's going to be an interesting time for sure.
O'Reilly.
Absolutely.
Frank Smith of Matchroom criticised boxers' matchmaking. Just in the passing, Ben Whittaker, new in the Matchroom stable, will headline against Benjamin Gavazzi in Birmingham. How's that for matchmaking, if you like, Sam?
It was always going to happen. Like, I think they want to kind of strip it back a little bit and showcase how good he is. Going through the... Listen, what made Ben... I know Simon said Ben Shalom unearthed Ben Whittaker, but it's kind of like if you go shopping for a big multi-million-pound house, Simon, you say, look at my house, look what I've unearthed. It's not what you've unearthed. You're the highest bidder for the house, and you've got a pretty house. So when you start putting extensions on and all that kind of thing. But that's with Ben Whittaker. Ben Whittaker is a star, and they're just going to have to do what's made him very famous. Go through the repertoire, the showboating, and then they're going to... Because they're eventually going to have to put him in the deep end. But I think, I don't know, Frank and Ben Shalom, Frank Smith and Ben Shalom have never really got on that well. So there's never going to be like amazing comments either way.
No, well, you had a tilt at Frank Smith's comments, did you not?
Yeah.
What did you take exception to?
Well, I just think if you've won, you've won. I mean, I think the comment about unearthed was then qualified by talking about the vision arriving. And if people had wanted him, if people had wanted Ben Whittaker, irrespective of how much Ben Shalom threw at him, if you wanted him, they wanted Anthony Joshua, they got him.
Yeah.
If they wanted Ben Whittaker that much, they'd have got him then. So that was my point about unearthing. It was more to do with the vision being delivered by Shalom and his activities with Ben Whittaker.
You call Frank Smith classless, didn't you?
Yeah, because I think if you win something, you don't need to laud it and be so smug about it.
Right.
And I know that Eddie's had a conversation back. I mean, I don't have any issue with these guys.
No?
No, I don't. The digital guys, other guys like IFL, and they take little contents, little snippets of what someone says. They mischaracterise it, misrepresent it, like the video that was done for Whittaker. I said, not original, but bloody good. The bloody good bit was dropped out, and the question was put to Eddie Hearn. Simon says it's not original, and of course Eddie's going to go, well, of course it's not original, it's Jerry Maguire. Right, state the obvious.
Right.
Now, Frank Smith is someone that I couldn't pick out of the lineup. The only time I ever met him is when he came up to me and wanted to say hello to me at the Robert Hellenius Anthony Joshua press conference. And I don't mind having a bit of disrespect from Eddie Hearn towards me because I bring it on because I made comments about him. I'm not going to take it from one of his little underlings. So he doesn't like it.
All right.
So he gets clever, that's all.
Frank Smith did bite back. Are you not going to take this either? Have a listen.
Simon Jordan worked his way from nothing, from what I can see or tell. I don't think he came from money. He did amazing things. Did you? Yeah, I mean, I haven't done what Simon Jordan's done, so respect to him for doing what he did. I also haven't lost everything nearly like Simon Jordan has, so, you know, only time will tell. I don't know what all the hate's about. Like, maybe he's all right. He just says stupid stuff. He says I'm classless, I'm a bag carrier, I'm a tea boy. Yeah, I'm great at making tea. Like, brilliant. He's a very bitter man. Like, look at him in everything he says, everything he does. He's a bitter man. Like, that's the reality of Simon Jordan. Is I don't know why he's so unhappy. It is what it is. I don't lose sleep over Simon Jordan. I like responding to him because it gets the people going. It's provocative.
Are you unhappy, Pat?
Well, that was a bit like Eamon Andrews, wasn't it, doing This Is Your Life? I understand he came from this, not from that. He doesn't know anything. Look, the only person that I've ever really had an issue with was Eddie, because Eddie tells great big whackers at times, and he got pulled up by it a couple of times by me. And quite frankly, if I call Eddie Hearn a coward, which I did at the time, I expect him to go back at me. Now, if one of his little underlings wants to turn around and talk about my finances, then I'm going to say, well, who are you? So I don't hate anybody. I make observations. I'm blunt, I'm to the point, and isn't that a good thing to be?
It's a very good thing.
They just don't like it. They can't take it.
You're not bitter.
Little children going, someone says something, he's a hater. What's a hater? Someone that says something you don't like.
That was on the Stomping Ground channel that Frank Smith was coming away with his comments about Simon. Sam Jones, thank you so much, my friend. Always good to speak to you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Tell Daniel Dubois we say hi, and we'll have him on again soon.
Simon will see him next week at the Parker Wardley show, so ask him yourself.
Looking forward to it.
And good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you very much.
York Hall. Sam Jones leaving us, which leaves Spencer with myself and Simon. How lucky are you? 1:45. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Spencer Oliver. Just a reminder, the unbeaten British heavyweight Fabio Wardley, very popular fella, he's going to fight the former world champion Joseph Parker at London's O2 Arena on the 25th of this month. So it's just around the corner. All the big names join us on this boxing hour right here on a Thursday on talkSPORT. And Fabio's trainer, Ben Davison, joins us live as we finish off our hour this lunchtime. Ben, good afternoon. Fabio, how is he?
He's good. He's in a great place. Finished up his sparring yesterday, so ready and raring to go.
He's Fabio's one of those guys that, you know, is very unpredictable, isn't he? We saw that against Justice Hooney last time. What we found out about him, that he has a lot of character. He can hang in there. He doesn't lose heart, which is an important quality. But going in here against someone of Joseph Parker's credentials, do you think that this is a fight that Fabio can win on points? That's what I wanted to say. Or have you been training for the knockout?
I think we pretty much always train for the knockout, to be honest. But along the way, you know, you're trying to bank rounds along the way. We made it clear and spoke about it afterwards, where against Justice Hooney, we did feel like he wasn't going to be able to bank rounds. I don't feel like that's the situation here. But we do see paths to victory for Fabio via knockout. So, you know, there's certain situations, scenarios that he's been drilling and working on to hopefully create that.
So what makes the difference, Ben? You felt like against Hooney, he couldn't bank the rounds, and it was a knockout that you needed, and you was going to accept coming from behind in that one. What makes the difference then between that and the Joseph Parker fight? How does he bank the rounds against Parker?
I just think Hooney's got a very, very good IQ. I think he's a very underrated boxer, but there was situations there where he was going to leave himself exposed and leave himself in a situation where Fabio could hurt him. And we made that clear. You know, it was a bad style matchup for Fabio. He was the last on our choice, to be honest. We originally, it was Gerald Miller, then was trying to get the Filip Hrgovic fight. That didn't come off. And then it was, you know, Justice Hooney was the only one that was available with a late placement. It wasn't, to be honest with you, it wasn't a good style matchup. We made that clear. But, you know, Fab wanted the show to go on and decided to go over it anyway. And we knew that he could have won that fight by knockout, but we knew it was going to be a not without coming through some sticky patches.
Can I push you, Ben? I know you probably might not want to answer this, but I mean, I think Joseph Parker is a better fighter than Justice Hooney. He's a better fighter technically on all levels. So how does Fabio bank? I mean, you didn't answer the question from Spence. How is he going to bank rounds against Joe Parker?
I don't think he is he a better fighter? Overall, he's probably a better fighter, but I don't think he's as quick, as good at processing. Really? Yeah, I think Justice Hooney's a very, very underrated boxer. Very good IQ, sets little traps that, you know, people don't see, and very, very hard man to deal with. And just stylistically for Fabio, I didn't think, you know, we didn't feel it was a great matchup for him. Whereas we don't feel like that with Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker's a fantastic fighter, and probably rightly so, the favourite. But, you know, we're confident there's path to victory via knockout, as we've mentioned before. But I do feel like that Fabio will be able to bank some rounds as well there. I don't feel like it's the same stylistic match as the
is it an easier environment for him to fight in, Fabio, given all the expectation and pressure of fighting at Portman Road and all that would have meant to him? Is this psychologically going into this fight for a variety of reasons? He wasn't in Justice Hooney's fight. He went in as the favourite for the first time in many instances that he'd gone in before, because every time he goes in, someone expects him to get beat. Is it easier for him to fight in the O2 than it would be at Portman Road?
I understand that logic, but we actually discussed this last time with the Justice Hooney thing. Do you know what it is with Fabio? It's water off a duck's back, to be honest. I think he's got the mentality, because of his background, because of the lack of expectation of him. I think he goes in there with a mentality of, I just need to execute what it is that I need to execute. I need to focus on what I need to do. And the result is what the result is. And that works for him. I don't feel like he does, you know, get built up with pressure. I think he just takes it in his stride, and I think that works for him.
I think what we found out with Fabio Wardley, especially in that last fight against Hooney, is that he doesn't lose spirit, and he can whack right up until the final round. And you suspect, stylistically, with Fabio Wardley and Joseph Parker, Parker will sit in the pocket at times and may get greedy at times, and you feel that that's where Fabio might exploit him, and that might be his best opportunity when Parker decides to stand and trade, because that will happen.
Yeah, I feel like Justice Hooney was probably... He's cuter than people believe, and he's very good at setting little, very, very subtle traps, whereas I don't feel like that's so much of a part of Parker's game. And I feel like off the back of that fight, that in itself, like you say, Fabio getting a late knockout off the back of having a horrendous time, people know he's dangerous, and he's dangerous throughout, and you have to respect that. As much success as you're having, you have got to be respectful that it only takes one with him. And I feel like he would have learned a lot from the Justice Hooney fight as well. And to be honest with you, I just finished up sparring, and I will say that he's probably in the best place I've seen him so far.
All right. Well, Ben, elsewhere, we know that another of your fighters, the rising star, Moses Itauma, set to go in with Kubrat Pulev. What kind of test is that?
I mean, it's been ordered. Is the fight going to happen? Is Pulev going to take that fight? Is that the path that it's going to end up being? I don't know. I know the WBA have ordered that. We leave that to Frank and Queensbury. Whether it's Pulev, whether it's whoever, we'll let Queensbury deal with that. So we'll see. But I haven't got any news on that so far.
And let's finish off this hour. You got all the big names, Mr. Davison. Anthony Joshua, how is he? What's he thinking?
He's good. It was his birthday yesterday, so he seems in a good place. As to how soon the next steps will be, I suppose there'll be some news soon.
Ben, could we expect to see Joshua out this year, or will it be early next year? I know he's coming off a slight injury that we believe is now healed. When can we see him back in the ring again?
I think if the start of his training goes well, possibly it could be this side of the year. Could be the other side of the year, but I think it won't be in the too far future.
And the final question from me, Ben, is will 2026 be the final year for Anthony Joshua? We know that all roads lead to possibly Tyson Fury or that another crack at a world title. Will 26 be the last year?
I don't have a crystal ball. You never know. There could be a comeback fight, a Fury fight, and it might be a rematch the year later. But I don't know. I genuinely don't know what whether it'll be the final year or not. I suppose we'll all wait to see.
Ben,
I think it says everything that he's had a year out the ring, and we're still, every time I talk to you guys, we're still talking about him. So.
Of course, and we'll continue to do so. Ben, thank you very much indeed. Our best regards to Fabio Wardley, who goes in against Joseph Parker. We look forward to that. Mr. Jordan, you're heading out to sunny climes.
I am.
For the next couple of days or so. Enjoy. Spencer, as always, thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure.
Thanks for all the texts and the tweets, etc., etc. Rangers fans might be interested in this. Just to finish off the hour, I'm getting word that talks between Rangers and Kevin Muscat progressing positively as we head to 1 o'clock.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.